course, the actual programme started in '62.
Yeah.
But before then, Gene used to have the bears, or technicians used to sort of crouch down beside him, do the little bears, to do the birthday mentions.
Gosh, incredible. And how, I mean, that had such a massive response in the Midlands, didn't it? That programme, the postman.
Well, if you go on Wikipedia, it will tell you, which is, I believe to be true, that at its height, the Tingler and Tucker Club had 750,000 members of children.
That's extraordinary.
Of course, a lot of them be grandparents.
Yeah. I was one. I had a badge.
There's one there. Yeah, you remember the Tingler?
I'm sure there's probably.
Well, do you know the magic sign?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, that's good. We'll see you at the bar afterwards.
Now, Mike, you actually closed down ATV, didn't you, before it became Central, and it's actually there are not many really good quality versions of that left, but we've managed to find something, and hopefully we can have a look at that now.
With Shaw.
Give us a minute.
Just a minute.
No, that was with Shaw too. So
it was.
Yeah, we closed down ATV in the night, and then the next morning opened up.
And
Central.
you were on the next day, of course, on Central. Yeah, that's right. Which was it? I mean, much of a was it just a change of logo in effect? Was all the same people working together, or was it more significant than that? The change to Central.
I think that there was more of a change behind the scenes, and we expected, you know, the front of camera people to go, because as I said before, I was working between Southern and ATV and Central, and I just didn't know which to bump for. But actually, we didn't change on camera. Did we?
No, I think that actually leads on to another point, that I think announcers were always compared with your technicians and who were salaried on the staff. We were really on contracts and freelancing. I had a 6-month or a 12-month contract. Of course, you know, you go through all the nerves of will your contract be renewed. So I think anything like ATV turning into Central or something, you thought they're going to look for new faces. And I think sometimes that they did, but then.
But we continued, didn't we? Actually,
well, they obviously looked and they
thought we. Yes,
Couldn't
we were
better
okay.
that.
We were okay.
But also there's the connection with the audience. They know who they like to watch. It's the familiarity, because you do build up such a rapport with your loyal viewers, don't you?
I remember Kevin Morrison. Kevin Morrison? He set up a bottle of whiskey for the first person to say ATV on Central.
Did that ever happen?
Yes, it did. Stuart White was the first person to say ATV on Central. Do you remember Richard?
I did hear Paul Vasey once say Central when it was Carlton, which was the other sort of change that we had to go through.
Well, and then you'd worry, and in fact, if we've got time, or is this clip ready? Or
no, tell us.
No, I was going to say that the wonderful John Terry, because he was a great guy, you know, Sally's husband, and one mistake I made once was I was recording some. Do you remember when we used to do very short live commercials?
Oh, yes.
And they were usually 7 seconds, and sometimes we did them live, and sometimes we put them onto 1/4-inch tape. And I was actually putting some onto tape, and I made a mistake. I fluffed it, and I said, "Oh shit!" Now, unfortunately, the microphone had gone live, and this went over the top of a commercial. And when we went into the. We went into the room where they had what was called the off-air tape. So for so many months you kept an exact recording of what had gone out for legal purposes. And so we played it, and this is absolutely true. The last commercial was for Tunes cough sweets, and it went sore throat, cough irritation, I said oh shit, and then the last thing was suck Tunes. It actually made the Sun, there was a little byline in the Sun and the Daily Mirror. Now John Terry was my boss at the time, and I was petrified. I thought, this is it, you know, how am I going to pay the mortgage and everything. And so for the next 2 weeks or so, whenever I reported for duty, I did sort of careful wandering around, probably a little bit like, what's his name, Mr. Bean, trying to not bump into John in case he brought it up. But eventually, I did see him, and he said, "Mike, I thought it was so funny. That was really good." And so it was completely the other way. And I think he took the view, and this is a good management, good senior management, that he knew I'd made a mistake. I knew I'd made a mistake, and in future I wouldn't say naughty words
Yeah,
when the mic's live, you know.
Yeah.
And that's good old John, you know.
Very professional attitude to take. Okay, let's have a look.
Sorry.
Okay.
Here's the regional weather forecast for New Year's Day. There'll be a widespread frost tonight with minimum temperatures around -3 degrees Centigrade. Patches of fog, dense in places, will develop overnight and will be a little slow to clear, especially from Cambridgeshire up to Nottinghamshire and Lincolnshire. Tomorrow daytime will be mostly dry apart from the chance of an isolated shower over the Cotswolds with some hazy sunshine and afternoon temperatures about 5 degrees Centigrade. So the summary then for tomorrow, mostly dry, hazy sunshine, and the outlook for the weekend, cloudy with rain at times and temperatures mostly above freezing. And that's the weather forecast for the ATV region. And you know, it's funny that tonight it's the last time I'm going to be saying ATV because as from now we're central. And it's appropriate that this evening, popping in for a New Year's Eve drink, Shaw Taylor, because Shaw was one of the first announcers with ATV back in the mid-1950s.
Yes, you can, when my hair was almost as silver as yours.
Michael. Shaw, are you just a little bit sad this evening that the name ATV is fading out?
Because they were marvellous days. You know, ATV has been very much part of my life over the years. Police 5, 20 years, ATV even longer. And there used to be Jeannie Morton was an announcer here, and Peter Coburn, Arthur Adair. The four of us used to split it up between us. So, yes, I am. I'm very sad to see ATV disappearing. But by the same token, I'm very excited at what Central promises. In other words, the split franchise, new studios in Nottingham, exciting things like that. I should get 2 police fires now, twice as much time. With a bit of luck, we'll catch twice as many villains. And the whole sort of news coverage expanding. It's a very exciting prospect. So I truly do say, I'm sad to see ATV go, but I'm very excited at saying welcome to Central.
Indeed, welcome to Central. And of course, the most important thing this evening, Shaw, to everyone at home, a very happy 1982. Happy New Year.
How about that?
Yes,
Was it sad?
I think people were all very pleased that it was going to stay in a job, really.
Yeah,
Let's be
that's the
honest.
most important thing,
No,
isn't it,
was
really?
it sad to see the ATV go? I think there was a great feeling of esprit de corps of the ATV Lou Grade years. And I think I probably alluded to it earlier, that things did get a bit serious. It became more of a business. Well, it obviously was a business before, but it became more of a sort of, we've got to do this and we've got to do it this way and we've got budgets to do. Whereas I think Lou managed, and the generation with John Terry and Lou and many others were showmen, entrepreneurs, as well as businessmen. But they kind of conveyed do it and do it with fun and have some smiles on your faces. And that's probably what you meant, Sue, about ATV was looked at as the showbiz.
Yes, yes.